The opening image of a film is often one of its most important moments. Let's take a look at this one from The Green Knight.
You a knight yet?
What?
You a knight yet?
Not yet.
Better hurry up.
I've got time. I got lots of time. It's the thing.
Get up.
I'm not ready yet.
4 words, the whole film. Gawain always has time. He dreams of becoming something great while carefully avoiding everything that becoming requires. There is a name for this type of character, one you've probably never consciously considered, yet have encountered in countless films. And once you know it, you'll see him everywhere. But the film doesn't start here. Camelot, cold, desaturated, a poor man sleeping in the mud, a roof on fire somewhere in the distance, a man and woman riding toward whatever danger awaits, toward conflict, toward responsibility. And here is Gawain, asleep, inside, sheltered from everything we just saw. While the world outside demands participation, he is unbothered and dreaming. He lives in a kind of neverland. The contrast between the outside world and Gawain's inner world isn't subtle. The writer and director, David Lowery, frames it in the first 2 minutes. Not poetically, but mythically. What the film is really asking is, what happens to a man who becomes what he was never meant to be? This film is not for everyone. The people it resonates with tend to love it deeply. Because it doesn't help you forget your troubles, as many films can do, it brings forward the ones you didn't know were there. It functions as a myth, symbolic, psychological. It doesn't fully make sense taken literally, and that is precisely the point. So today we're going to read this film through another story, and read that story through this film, and see what happens when you strip away the surface and find out what's underneath. We begin with Gawain, and the conditions of his life before anything happens. Gawain comes from Arthurian legend. Lowery's film is a loose adaptation of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, a late 14th century poem written in Middle English by an anonymous author. In Lowery's adaptation, Gawain is not a knight yet. He is undisciplined, avoidant, drifting without purpose. He wants greatness, but hasn't built the structure to hold it. He has no clear role in King Arthur's court, and no genuine relationship with the king at all. He lives a life of ease and indulgence. He's the king's nephew, a nobleman, which allows him to endlessly play and avoid any real duties or responsibility. His mother, Morgan Le Fay, a sorceress, Arthur's half-sister, protects him completely, and that protection, as we will see, is both his greatest comfort and his greatest obstacle. His companion is Essel, a brothel worker, which speaks precisely to the kind of person he is. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but he doesn't risk extending himself outward in the traditional ways of courtship. Instead, he pays for his companionship. And in doing so, he can pick up the relationship as he pleases. No strings attached. That is the whole man. Or more accurately, the whole boy. And speaking of boys, there is one who understood all of this long before we had a name for it. Peter Pan. Not the boy in the green tights with the cheerful adventure and the happy ending. The original, J.M. Barrie's 1911 novel, Peter and Wendy, which is one of the strangest and most psychologically precise things ever written for children. Or perhaps not for children at all. There is something else worth knowing before we go any further. David Lowery went directly from making The Green Knight to directing Peter Pan and Wendy for Disney, his own live-action adaptation of Barrie's story.
We are all so curious about Peter Pan and Wendy and your take on the material. What excited you to make it?
You know, my way in was, my entryway into this movie was that I've got a classic case of Peter Pan syndrome. I don't want to grow up. Who does? And I thought that was what was going to appeal to me about it. But in making it, in writing it, and then now directing it and seeing it come to life, I've realized that this is a movie about me letting go of that.
The same director, 2 years apart, a medieval knight who won't grow up, and a boy who never does. This is not coincidence. This is a director returning to a theme, as most directors do, working through material he couldn't leave alone, now through 2 different angles. Which means the connection we are about to make between these 2 stories is not an interpretation, but rather more of an excavation. In Barrie's telling, Peter's not simply a boy who doesn't want to grow up, he is a boy who cannot grow up. Something in him is structurally closed to the experience of growing up. He lives in Neverland, a place where time doesn't pass, where consequence doesn't accumulate, where every adventure resets to 0. Wendy, who first befriends Peter by helping him catch his own shadow, the part of himself he keeps losing, and sewing it back onto him, eventually becomes a mother figure to the lost boys. Peter promises to come back to Wendy every spring, and he does, but each time she's a little older, a little further from the girl who flew out the window. Peter doesn't notice. For him, no time has passed at all. Eventually, it is Wendy's daughter who goes to Neverland, then her daughter's daughter. He doesn't grieve any of this. He can't. He is incapable of the kind of memory that grief requires. He is still there right now, and utterly, perfectly, permanently alone. Carl Jung had a name for this, the Puer Aeternus, or the Eternal Boy, who spent his career mapping the hidden architecture of the human psyche, began identifying the recurrent figures that appear across human psychology, the archetypes. The patterns so deep and so universal that they show up in every culture, every mythology, every story humanity has ever told. He recognized this archetype immediately in Peter Pan. Jung and his student, Marie-Louise von Franz, spent a career mapping exactly what it looks like when this archetype takes hold of a real human life. It is a person who remains too long in adolescent psychology, not in age necessarily. The Puer can be 40, 50, 60, man or woman, but in its fundamental orientation toward life. They live in possibility rather than actuality, in the dream of what they might become rather than the reality of what they are doing right now. And the time is never quite right. The year is sometime in the mythological past, King Arthur's court at Christmas. The Round Table, the greatest knights in the world gathered in celebration. Gawain is there, Arthur's nephew, present by birthright rather than achievement. He has done nothing to earn his place at this celebration. He is there because of who his mother is. Now, into the court rides the Green Knight, a massive supernatural figure, part man, part tree, entirely terrifying, who proposes a Christmas game.
And try with honor to land a blow against me. Whomsoever nicks me shall lay claim to this my arm. Its glory and riches shall be thine.
Any knight who wishes may strike him once with his own axe. The condition that the knight must travel to the Green Chapel in 1 year's time to receive the same blow in return. It is a test of honor, of the willingness to face consequence, of whether the Knights of the Round Table are as brave as their legend suggests, or whether bravery for them is a performance that depends on there being no real cost. Nobody moves, and then Gawain stands up.
I will do it. I will meet him.
This is the Puer's greatest paradox. He cannot commit to the slow grinding work of becoming. He cannot show up consistently day after day doing the unglamorous things that builds a life. But he can, in a single impulsive moment, in front of an audience, when the gesture is grand enough, reach for the legendary act. Gawain does not stand up for honor or duty. He stands up for glory. For the story that will be told about him afterward. A story he can tell his king.
Never forget what happened here!
And then the Green Knight picks up his head.
1 year hence.
1 year, the Green Chapel, the return blow. Promise he didn't think through. He has reached for the legend, and now the legend requires something real of him. Not a gesture, not a performance, an actual reckoning with mortality, with limitation, with the fact that actions have consequences that cannot be charmed away or postponed indefinitely. He has 1 year. Peter Pan never runs out of time. Gawain does. And Gawain spends most of his year doing exactly what he always has done. Nothing. This is the part of the story the legend usually skips. The quest narrative wants to get to the journey, the adventures, the tests, but the film lingers in the waiting, in the year of not going. Because the year of doing nothing is the whole psychological truth of Gawain. He is celebrated, famous now.
Have you heard? This boy slew the Green Knight.
The one who faced the Green Knight, who took the blow, who will ride out when the time comes. The legend is already being written, and he is still in the pub, up all night, still not ready. There is time, there's always time, until there isn't. There is a counter archetype that stands in the direct opposition to the Puer, and it is the only force capable of transforming him, the Senex, the wise old man, or the father. Where the Puer lives in possibility and avoidance, the Senex embodies experience, judgment, and earned authority. He is the father energy, the initiation force, the one who holds the son accountable, not from cruelty, but from love.
Remember, it is only a game.
because he has lived long enough to know what avoidance costs and what the end of the road looks like. Gawain's father is never named, never seen, never mentioned. This was intentional. It is Gawain's central wound. A Puer without a father has no one to initiate it. The protected sphere of the mother remains uncontested. The boy stays a boy. Enter King Arthur. Sickly and frail, he apologizes to Gawain for not being there when he was growing up.
I recognize, but I do not know thee. I say this not in reproach, but regret that I have never asked you to sit at my side before this day, or upon my knee when I was newborn.
Lowery adapted him this way deliberately. As a young king, he could have been the father figure Gawain needed. This version of Arthur cannot model courage or perform the initiation his nephew so desperately requires.
Though my will longs to leap across this table and meet thee, my body will not follow.
He can only send him toward it now. Gawain comes home one night to find the king waiting for him.
I've been waiting for you. Did you not hear me calling?
I've been waiting for you, Arthur says. Have you not heard me calling? Underneath the literal reading is the inner voice of the father itself, asking, have you not heard me? It would be a little weird if the king was literally out in the streets calling for Gawain. They speak about the quest, and Gawain does what the Puer always does when consequence arrives at his door. He resists. He pleads. He looks for the exit.
Was it not just a game?
The Puer's eternal argument. It was just a gesture. Surely no one expects me to actually follow through. The king's reply is the whole film in 2 sentences.
But it is not complete. Is it wrong to want greatness for you?
Not out of anger, not disappointment, just a father, or the archetype of one, refusing to let the boy off the hook because he knows what the boy is capable of and loves him enough to hold him to it. Arthur wipes the dirt from Gawain's face, then holds it in his hands. That gesture, this specific tenderness, this is the first time we see it in the film. We will see it again. Remember this. For now, Gawain goes, not because he has become ready, not from courage, but because the king has told him to. Gawain leaves the city. As he rides out, a group of children run after him, calling his name, urging him to come back and play. The film doesn't comment on this. It doesn't need to. The image says everything. Gawain is leaving childhood behind. And if anyone out there knows the inspiration for this particular image, you are a mythic legend yourself. You have my respect and my axe. After a long journey and a much-needed rest, Gawain eventually stumbles upon the Lord's Manor. The manor operates almost like a mythic initiation chamber. Every figure Gawain encounters in the manor is a reflection of a figure from his life, inverted. The lord of the manor, known in the original poem as Bertilac of the High Desert, proposes a strange game upon Gawain's arrival, one of the central motifs carried over from the source material. Each morning, the lord rides out to hunt. Whatever he gains during the day, he gives to Gawain upon his return. In exchange, whatever Gawain receives while remaining at the manor must be given back to the lord. A simple trade, an equal exchange. What is gained must be surrendered. The game feels playful at first, almost harmless. But beneath the surface, it becomes one of the film's most important psychological tests, because the game is not about objects. It's about honesty, integrity, and ultimately, whether Gawain is capable of surrendering the parts of himself he most desperately wants to hide. Before he left Camelot, his mother gave him something, an enchanted girdle wound around the waist like an umbilical cord. No harm will come to him as long as he wears it. It was taken from him by the scavengers on the road, and now it finds him again, through the Lady of the Manor. The girdle is not just a magic object, it is every comfort, every excuse, every soft place Gawain has retreated to in his life. His mother's love made tangible, wound around him, keeping him alive, and keeping him a boy. Then Gawain's will collapses.
You are no knight.
And then, immediately afterwards, a gift. Or is it? The moment his will fails, the mother's protection returns, right on time. The rules of the game demand he return whatever he received that day. He says nothing. He conceals the girdle, conceals his deception, and attempts to flee. But before he can leave, he is stopped by the Lord in the forest.
Gawain! On your own after all. What of our game?
The Lord of the Manor confronts him. He lowers himself to Gawain's level and then gently holds his face and kisses him. The gesture mirrors Arthur's touching Gawain before he left Camelot, creating an eerie symbolic echo across the film. And then the Lord returns something else, the fox captured during the hunt. The symbolism is exact. In medieval times, the fox was portrayed as the embodiment of trickery and the desire to escape consequence. It survives not through strength, but through evasion. The fox is caught on the very day Gawain commits his central act of deception. The Lord is returning Gawain to himself, returning his puer, his deceptive and childish mode of being. Whether Gawain consciously understands this or not, the film certainly does. The Green Chapel is not a building, it's more like an ancient relic caught in the timelessness of nature, a wound in the earth. The Green Knight is waiting inside. We find Gawain under the axe now. It's the Green Knight's turn. In a beautifully set up flash-forward premonition sequence, we see what life would look like if Gawain does not fulfill his part of the agreement. Gawain runs, returns to Camelot. His mother tends to his wounds. He becomes king. Watch carefully what kind of king he becomes. A Puer Aeternus on the throne is just that. He has never been initiated, never faced the reckoning he avoided at the chapel. He wears the crown the way he wore the girdle, as protection, as performance, as the outward appearance of a man who never quite became one. Still a boy, fantasizing about greatness, having no real experience of what greatness actually requires. He abandons Essel, the woman who loved him unconditionally, the one person in his life who asked for nothing except his presence. Time passes as Camelot crumbles around him, and at the very end, sitting on his throne, he removes the girdle, and off comes his head. The consequence he avoided with the Green Knight in the chapel found him anyway. He could not outrun the ticking of the clock. He thought he escaped with his head that day, but it was only a postponement. The vision ends, he's still kneeling, the axe is still raised, he sees it all now. He sees what will become of himself and all that he loves if he does not face this challenge. There are no tomorrows. The only thing left is a choice, a sacrifice that must be made now, in this present moment. He removes the girdle.
Now I'm ready.
Those words are the Puer Aeternus finally arriving. Not tomorrow, now. The Green Knight kneels before him, not as submission, as recognition. And then he does something the film has been building towards from its very first frame. He reaches out, embracing Gawain's face.
Well done.
The same gesture, the same tenderness, the same love Arthur at Camelot, and the Lord of the Manor, and now the Green Knight at the chapel. 3 times, 3 variations of the same archetype. The Senex, the wise old man, the father, reaching towards the son who cannot find his own way there. The father Gawain never had, showing up in every form the journey required, holding him at every threshold, because the truth is, the father never left him. It was Gawain who was running away from the father. The test was never the blow, it was the removal, the willingness to arrive without the girdle and decide to put it down. This is what Peter Pan doesn't understand, because Neverland protects him from understanding it. Time doesn't pass in Neverland. Consequence doesn't accumulate. He will never sit on a deathbed watching everything dissolve, because in his world, nothing was ever truly built, and nothing can ever truly fall. Peter is the eternal idea of the archetype, not the reality of it working through Gawain, through a person. The Puer Aeternus' transformation is never dramatic. It is never the hero's moment. It is a private internal surrender, the ego's relinquishment of its fantasy of specialness, its willingness to be ordinary in the specific way that genuine growth requires. Gawain doesn't become a great knight at the Green Chapel. He just becomes someone who kept his word, someone who showed up, someone who chose to sacrifice everything, to die, right here, right now, with honor and integrity, rather than live another day in Neverland. And that is why the film is not for everyone, just like these videos are not for everyone, and that's okay. Not everyone is ready to look deeply within themselves. Not everyone is ready to read a film as a myth and question what they're really being shown, to ask, what is this really saying, and how do I fit into it? Because all great directors are in their work, and that means as an audience, we are in their work too, because we all share the same feelings, the same trials, the same failures. The idea that we're not enough, and that tomorrow is always more real than today. The Green Knight doesn't ask whether we're brave, he asks whether we're present, whether we can remove the protections and crutches life has built for us and bow our heads and say now, without knowing what now costs. Most of us are still looking for our boots, and maybe that's enough, for now. Maybe that's what genuine transformation looks like. One defining moment, built from a past of failed trials, finding that place where the beginning collapses into the end, where time stops, and all that's left is a choice. Just a choice. Not ready, but willing.